Hey ladies and gentlemen, Richard Core Kenobi here, and I'm back again for another Samurai Jack Season 5 review, and today we have Episode 6. And guys, holy shit, this episode. I'm reviewing this a day after because this episode just left me in a state that I never thought I could feel after watching MLP Season 5 Episode 100 or Season 5 Episode 9 Slice of Life. It's that good. So yeah, and also too, I was working with the Nerdbender crew yesterday and spending time with Mrs. Kenobi very much after that. So that is why you didn't get my review up like that. But I will say this, guys. This is probably the best fan service episode I've ever seen in a while, and that's saying a lot. Now, generally, when shows do fan service episodes, usually they have a hard time trying to balance it, because you don't want to ever just make an episode that's dedicated to older fans and not alienate newer fans, because then they're not going to want to go back and watch this to get this. So, usually they always have trouble, but there are, most of the time, some fan service episodes are pretty damn good. We see that a lot, especially if it's well told, well integrated into the story arc that's going on. And this episode kind of bait and switched us, because we all thought this was just going to be a Ashi episode with a cameo by the Woolies, but no! This was a continuation of her journey, and also this was a callback episode, not a clip show episode, I'll explain why later, to past seasons. So, yes, that was very good. So, I'm quickly going to go over what happened. So, if you have not seen this episode, then I would say click out now. Okay? Okay, so basically, it starts off where we see Ashi is on this blimp. She's looking for Jack after what happened in last week's episode, where he went crazy thinking he killed the children. Well, not kill them by himself, but he thought he let them die. So then she goes on a journey to find him, and along the way she encounters people who have been helped and freed and had their hope restored by Jack. And the first one we see are the Woolies. They first encounter her and think she's trying to attack him or hurt him. And of course she explains, no, I'm trying to find him. So of course they reveal themselves and they tell us the story back in Season 1, Tale of the Woolies. And I actually think this was Episode 4. So, yes, basically, we see that the Woolies tell Ashi their story of how they were once enslaved, of course, by the blue aliens. I don't think they ever got a name. If they did, then let me know. I don't think I remember that. And we, of course, see that instead of them just using flashback footage of the actual episode, they reanimated all new scenes with the new animation. So, of course, we see that Jack shows up, he saves the Woolies, and takes down these creatures. And then, after that, Ashi says thank you to the Woolies for telling her, and, of course, she finds where Jack got off, and jumps out of the blimp, Captain America style, with just landing with her hook. So, yeah, there is that. And then after that, we get a surprise. We find out that Scaramouche, Aku's favorite assassin, beep boop boop, he is alive. Yeah, he is basically alive. So he goes on his own journey to try and tell Aku that Jack no longer has his sword. So, yeah, and then we cut back to Ashi, and she's in a forest, and she sees beetle drones running by with arrows in them, and then she encounters the archers, the 3 archers from Season 1, Jack and the Blind Archers, and they basically say, a friend of Samurai Jack is a friend of ours, they take her to their village, and we see they've dedicated a statue in Jack's honor, basically of how he saved them. And of course, we also get a flashback with new reanimation of Jack basically going up against them. If you remember in that episode, he was looking for the well that could grant him a wish, but unbeknownst to him, it also grants a curse for the price of it. And it cursed these 3 archers to not only go blind, but they became the ultimate warriors. And I guess you can say they were kind of immortal, if you think about it. I'll get to why I think that later. And basically, Jack fights on their level by, again, blindfolding himself, then going up and dodging 3 arrows point blank to basically bounce off him, hit them, and then boom, he frees them. And instead of using the well to make his wish, which again he didn't, he destroys it. And they say how it was the most noble sacrifice they've ever seen. So then, therefore, they have been dedicated to help him. And we actually get some good connections here, because we find out that, yes, the well that basically cursed you and made your wish come true, it was in fact done by Aku. Because the sound it makes sounds definitely like him. So yes, Aku was behind that. So I liked on how this episode brought that together. It answered questions for us, so that's good. And then, of course, they say and they foreshadow that they will be by his side if he ever needs them. So then she leaves and then goes, and then we see that Scaramouche arrives at the same shipyard that the Scotsman and Jack go on when Jack lost his memory in Season 4 from amnesia, and the Scotsman basically makes it his mission to recover his best friend's memories. So, yes, I won't spoil what happens there, but that does happen in Season 4. And it's funny how he doesn't say the line, "You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy," and then talk about the crab cakes. I think that was funny. That would have been amazing. So, yes. And then, of course, we see that he's having trouble trying to get to Aku, because apparently the shipyard is very picky, and they won't allow anybody with no shirt, no body, no service, and they have something against Aku's assassins, and Scaramouche is actually number 3. So, of course, he comes up with many comedy, creative ways to get on, and he eventually does by hijacking someone's body, and, of course, commenting how they look like, that person's head looks like a penis. So, yeah, we get our first kind of swear adult language word, which we're gonna get more, don't worry. And then we basically see that Ashi and this was the highlight for me, Ashi goes and she finds the Ravers from all the way back in Season 3. And we basically see that, yeah, they're still dancing, and she's looking for Samurai Jack, and the main one, who basically, I can't remember her name, damn it. But the main one who's leading them, it's the daughter from the innkeeper all the way back in Season 3. So, yes, oh my god, and of course she's old, and she's still in debt to the samurai. So when Ashi mentions the samurai, they make an S, I know this is the best S I could do. They basically make an S with their hands, basically a symbol for Jack. So yes, that is awesome. And of course they tell their story through, of course, a song and dance. And it's here we get to see some amazing vocal performances and visuals. And here's the biggest Easter egg of all. When we see the Ravers, I don't know if many people will catch this, when they're talking about Jack and they're telling their story, they're doing the same dance that Jack did whenever he went undercover to rescue them. Like, literally, it's the same movement. It's the same dance. It's the same choreography. So, how they remember that, I don't know, but I was loving it. And we actually get to see Ashi dance with them. and it was just amazing. Guys, I was marking out, freaking out. This was an amazing Easter egg and callback. Like, oh my goodness. I think this was, in my opinion, one of the best fan service moments. So, yes. And then we cut back, and basically we see that, once again, Scaramouche comes this close to telling Aku that Jack has no sword. And, of course, he's using a phone booth, which still you can make collect calls, and it's kind of weird that, okay, in this universe we have smartphones and phone booths? I don't know, maybe that's just me. And we get some more Easter eggs. We actually see that, and again, Scaramouche is this close to telling him, but then he is interrupted by all of these people making loud noise, so he tells them all to shut up while he's trying to make a call, and he mainly talks to these three pups. Now, the main pup, to me, looks like the pup from Looney Tunes, looks like the dog from Looney Tunes, the one that one time bullied Bugs Bunny whenever he was learning how to dance, or I can't remember. It was one of those, but you basically understand. Or it could be the same pup or Spike from Tom and Jerry, which would make sense because Samurai Jack does make references to Hanna-Barbera cartoons. So we'll just say it's Spike from Tom and Jerry. And we see the dog from Two Stupid Dogs again. And then we see Astro from the Jetsons. That is amazing. Now we got to see that. And of course, Scaramouche telling them to basically go be dogs somewhere else. He's basically bad-mouthing them. And he's about to tell Aku, he's this close, he's just 2 words away from it, and then he gets thrown off the boat. So, yeah, there we go. Which I kind of was a little disappointed that we got teased with that, because, okay, we're halfway through Season 5, we got 4 episodes left, and Aku still doesn't know. But I get the feeling that in the next episode, he will find out. So, fingers crossed. So then, of course, we cut back to Ashi once again, and she's at a river, and, well, actually, no, she's in a cave with the river below her, and she has a flashback of the first time that she and her sisters were actually dropped down and thrown, and they were molded with this, I guess you could say, skin suit? We'll say skin suit. Because their mother basically says that Aku was born in the darkness. We need to be born in the darkness. So she stripped them, not stripped them, but basically she stripped them and then pushed them off into this, and they're screaming in agony. And then we basically get the closest thing we're going to get to a nude shot, but thank goodness it didn't go too fan servicey. So, yeah, we see that Ashi is actually scrubbing off the suit, and yeah, she's nude. But again, we don't see it, so for those of you who are hoping we would get more fan service, no, because that would have been too much fan service, so Genndy Tartakovsky thankfully balances this. So, yeah, she is covered up, and she does eventually dress like, she finds some new clothes, a new dress, and she just dresses like Poison Ivy. She looks like Poison Ivy with that on, but well, it's alright. She's got a new look, and she actually has her hair down. So, yes, she got rid of the darkness suit, which is kind of weird because, I don't know, I just figured that she could have kept that on, and it wouldn't have affected her, because it feels like it gave her powers, but whatever, it's just a confusing nitpick. But let's go on. And then we see she arrives, and she arrives at the inn bar that we saw in Season 4, and coincidentally, the bartender is the samurai from Jack vs. the Samurai in Season 4. And we basically, again, she's looking for the samurai, but then now these guys who have been hurt by Jack, they tell her how, yeah, he's the toughest SOB out there. And here's where we get full out cursing. I mean, we hear the samurai curse, we hear some of these people curse, and they're basically telling Ashi how they've been hurt, and one by one, One guy has electrical cords for a face now. Some other guy has band-aids that are holding him together. We get some guy who's just there saying he can't go to the bathroom. And we literally get, here's another one, we get a Popeye cameo. Yes, a Popeye. A robot. He lost his eye. I guess Samurai Jack took his eye. So, yeah. And then, of course, the samurai says that's nothing. Then he tells them his story, and again, it's flashback, and it's newly animated, and I like this moment too. This moment was also good. We see that he's telling everybody how he used to be a badass, and he used to have awesome attack names, and then once he encountered Jack, he enlightened him in the ways of the samurai. So then after that, he dropped his blade, and he became the bartender. And then this unexpected cameo comes. We see Damongo from Jack and Damongo in Season 2. This was crazy. And he's basically not there to fight. He just accidentally winds up there looking for the souls of the greatest warriors. And then he leaves. And now I know some of you quickly have questions. How the hell is he alive? Well, I mean, maybe it's because he is a spirit, and he didn't fully... I mean, he did get crushed by Aku, but I don't think Aku killed him. So, yeah, maybe that's the case, or maybe Aku just felt like giving him another chance. So, yeah, I mean, that could be the case. We don't know. So yes, and then after that, Ashi leaves, and she actually encounters a woman, who bears a striking resemblance to the Umakandi. Yes, the Umakandi from Jack and the Three Hunters. Or Jack versus the Hunters, I apologize. And literally, and now some people will say, how does she look like the Umakandi? She has the same blue eyes, and even though she's kept in shadow and silhouette, you can kind of see that her head and her eyes look exactly like the Hunters. So, yes, she basically enlightens her and tells her where Jack can be found, and then Ashi does go to find Jack. And here's the biggest Easter egg I'm surprised no one else is talking about. We literally see Ashi and Jack in a graveyard. But this graveyard looks exactly like, I don't know if it's the same graveyard, but it looks like the same graveyard from Jack versus the Zombies. Remember that time when Jack fought zombies and Aku? This literally looks like it. It doesn't, again, maybe it isn't, but I think the visual Easter egg is meant to be it. So we'll just say it is the graveyard from that episode. And then, of course, finally we see this masked person on the rider, and of course, this is Death. This is the Grim Reaper, or the Samurai Grim Reaper, let's call him that. And he's basically telling her Jack has failed his purpose. He's failed at everything, and now he has agreed to take his own life. And of course, he's doing it in the classic way of the samurai, by honorably killing himself. And he almost comes close, because it's amazing how this episode goes from comedy to fan service, and now to real... basically suicidal dark moments. So yeah, it's crazy how this episode balances it and just makes it feel so natural. But of course, Ashi stops Jack, saying, you have inspired hope, you've given it back to everybody, you've helped me, you saved mine and countless other people's lives. And then we get some fight scenes between Ashi and the Grim Reaper samurai. And then Jack basically, you know where this is going, he takes them all down, and then the ghost of, I guess, past samurai warriors leave, and then Jack compliments her by saying he likes her hair and her dress. And now it ends with him saying it's time he finally got his sword back. And that's where the episode ends. Guys, I don't think there's much I can say about this episode. The visual Easter eggs for this were amazing. If you're a longtime fan, and if you've seen all 4 seasons, this is a treat for you. This was a treat for me, and it'll be a treat for you. But if you're just new into Samurai Jack, you may not get these references, but it will be cool to see newer fans actually want to go back and watch the episodes that this episode showed us. And I liked on how it wasn't a clip show. Gindi went the extra mile of actually reanimating new scenes for us with the new style for the flashbacks. That is amazing. And I like how this episode didn't go too far with the cursing or the nudity. Again, that would have just been too fan servicey, and you do have to have a balance. And this season is not trying to basically take advantage. It is taking advantage of the fact that it's on Adult Swim, but it's not trying to go that far into it by being edgy and dark. And this is dark, but you get what I mean. It's not trying to be like rated R material. So I do appreciate that, and I do like on how it kept it to a perfect balance. And the characters that make appearances in this episode that are callbacks to the other episode, they actually have a purpose, because this is a great way for Ashi. Ashi pretty much represents the new generation. This is a way for her to see through her eyes and hear from past people how much good Jack has done and how much of an inspiration he is. How he's freed and given hope back to everybody. Now, this would have been nice, but I understand, I guess this wouldn't make sense, since the season does take place 50 years. It would have been nice to see the canines from the second episode of Season 1, but they probably would be old, or maybe in this future, dogs can live just as long as humans. I don't know, that's just me. You could have definitely got Rob Paulson to come back as Dreyfus. That's just me. So, yes, and again, some of these characters have aged that have came back, like the daughter of the innkeeper, who's now the main raver, the samurai, but some of them, like the archers, Damongo, and the woolies, they don't really age, I think, so they're kind of immortal, but we'll leave that up for debate. So, yes, guys, this episode did an amazing job with giving us some great visual Easter eggs that I had a fun time to, and it took me back, and this will definitely be our favorite episode of Season 5, and guys, I feel it appropriate to just give this episode a 10 out of 10. It was great. It was amazing. Not many flaws with it, I can say, except for the fact that they're still teasing us with Aku finding out, but hopefully that comes to an end soon, because we only got 4 more episodes left. And I just like on how everything that got referenced and callback to the older seasons, they had a purpose, and they weren't just there for the sake of being there for fans. They served their purpose, they had a story to tell, and they made Ashi's character come full circle. So I liked that, I really did. And yeah, guys, so if you enjoyed this review, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know down below, what did you think of this episode? What were your favorite Easter eggs that I mentioned? And also let me know, what are your thoughts on this whole episode, and are you looking forward to the final 4 episodes? Let me know, let's get this discussion going. And until then, this is Richard Korkenobi saying, may the Force be with you. See you later, my Samurai Jack fans.